The BackChat Basketball Show. We're here again, episode 4 or 5. I've lost track already. That's how bad my counting is. And usually next to me is Greg Heyer, Ben Mallis, but you're not going to hear either of those voices. You never know who you're going to hear. I've got Jacob Chance right across from me, assistant coach at the JackJumpers. Thanks for coming in, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Now, I was doing a bit of research about you. And before I get to that, BackChat_basketball on Instagram. That's what I assume you'll start following that once you leave.
Yeah, done.
That's how you get in contact with us, or hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. I was doing a bit of research on you, and I stumbled upon this.
Sheesh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to read you a bit of an excerpt from a book that I assume you may have written.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know where this is going.
Do you know where this is going?
I think I know where this is going.
So I'm just going to read you. Now, with the preseason about to begin, a shoulder injury has me sidelined. I'm sent to work with the team's new athletic trainer and come face-to-face with Leah, my Hamptons hookup, and our chemistry is explosive as ever. The no fraternization clause in our contract should keep us from acting on our mutual attraction, but the close proximity my rehab requires makes her damn near impossible to resist. My 5-year-old son is my priority, and I can't risk losing my job no matter what. This baller won't give in to temptation. At least that's what I tell myself. So Jacob Chance is an erotic sports novelist.
Yeah.
Is that you, or is it?
It is definitely not me.
Okay.
I can't remember how we stumbled across this, but I think we were sitting at work one day. I was like, you ever Googled yourself? And I think I was with Adam Ford. I can't remember. It takes me back a bit. And he just typed, he's like, let's type in your name. And this came up with like book after book. And it was,
there's so many of them.
There's a lot. Yeah, he's done really well for himself. Good on him.
There's like loving the quarterback, the baller. Like it's all sports related.
No, it's crazy. Good. Yeah, partner found out about it. She thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm sort of disappointed it's not you, but that's cool. You could tell other people that you've got books.
100%.
You and I both contributed to a championship.
Yeah, we did.
In 2019 at the Perth
did.
Wildcats. To various degrees. I mean, I was there.
Yep.
You had a bit more to do with it.
I was also just there.
You were a little bit just there. Before we get into your story, I got to ask this first question. So, on the BackChat podcast, when we have guests on, we always ask what their greatest sporting achievement is. Yeah. So you're probably going straight to basketball, but I'm going to tell you now that's not possible. We don't want you to tell us anything about basketball.
Okay.
It has to be purely off the court. So anything you've done can be athletics, whatever.
I reckon back in high school, it was pretty big. I went to CBC in Freo, and it was pretty big indoor soccer. It was a big sport. I suck at soccer, but it took me back straight away. As soon as you asked that question, and in year 12, we had a really big tournament.
Yep.
It was me and a couple of mates thought we'd enter into it. We were way out of our depth, and we played against a bunch of Italian fellas that were pretty good. They were locked in. They were ready to win the comp. We had the whole school packed out in our gym. I kicked the first goal of the game.
Huge.
Yeah, it was probably the most adrenaline I've ever had in a sporting field.
Full school watching you.
Full school.
Goal.
Yeah, there's a few, it was unreal.
That's good.
I remember celebrating with the fans. We lost 6-1, but it was just punting it in. Big toe poke, back net. Yeah, just out of nowhere. We sprung them with the first goal, and certainly probably
Huge.
up there.
You didn't park the bus then and just try and...
We tried to.
Yeah,
it was hard.
Still 6 goals.
It's hard.
Yeah. We're going to talk some basketball news and a little bit about what you're doing in the NBL now.
Yep.
I want to first touch on Steve Nash getting fired today by the Brooklyn Nets. You're a coach. Steve Nash is the coach. He is interesting. I saw the first tweet was Steve Nash has been fired by the Brooklyn Nets. And then the next tweet from Adrian Wojnarowski said... it was a mutual decision from both parties. Yeah. So it's either fired or it was mutual. What's your take on this whole situation with the Nets?
It's not often things in sport are mutual. That's the first probable thing. We hear it all the time. It's definitely never mutual. I guess I always worry as a young coach. I wasn't a player. I wasn't very good. And my first reaction is like, well, sheesh, if Steve Nash is getting fired, like what chance do I ever have of being a successful coach? So it's the NBA is very different. It's there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of money. I just think it's like a lot of American sports, just bigger and better, and with that comes a lot of rogue things. And unfortunately, the Nets have. I don't follow a lot of it at the start of the year, but it sounds like they're a bit of a disaster and they've got a bit going on.
Yeah, so Kevin Durant requested a trade in the offseason. Yep. He's been balling out. Ben Simmons looks like Charles Barkley in, what's that movie, Space Jam.
Yep.
After they take his powers. Yep. Kyrie Irving is tweeting, anti-Semitic books and movies or whatever. Now there's a rumor going around that Ime Udoka, the Boston Celtics coach, is going to be taking the reins.
Right.
But he's on some sort of leave of absence for misconduct at the team. So I've no idea what the Brooklyn Nets are doing.
It's all happening.
But Steve Nash might be just happy now. He's a big soccer guy. He's probably just out there watching soccer.
I'm sure Steve Nash will be all right. Yeah. He'll find something to do. And it's the NBA there's a lot of extracurricular stuff going on. And it's hard to navigate that. And got 82 games. I think they're like 7 games in. So this is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
And usually there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, it's always chaos. You're not currently verified on Twitter, I noticed.
Yeah, it's probably for a good reason. What have we got? 20 followers? How many people?
380-ish.
Okay. That's
Twitter, Elon sort of announced that you'd be paying for a verification mark. Is that something you'd consider now, with it being possible for you to be verified on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
$8. I think it's about $8 a month.
Is he going to make all celebrities pay that?
Were you a celebrity?
No, I'm not a celebrity. Called me out. That's good. No. Is everyone who's got a blue tick?
I think in order to retain your blue tick, you have to pay the fee.
Okay.
So not just to get one. So
Kim Kardashian's going to pay $8 a month for a tick.
I reckon Kim might be. I think they might have a list of people. Okay. Like Kim K is probably maybe their top 10.
I'd think about it. What does it get? What does it get you? Do you have a blue tick?
I got a blue tick and I earned it.
Okay.
I didn't pay for it. It just makes you better than everyone else, I guess.
Yeah, I'll pay for it then. Why not? Yeah, paying for societal class. Why not?
Okay, let's get into a little bit of your story. Have you met Hasbulla?
I haven't met. I should have met him. I had an opportunity to meet him.
Yeah,
we're coming back from the last window. We're coming back from Bahrain. Yep. And how did you find this out? This is impressive. No, we were coming back from Bahrain, and I was at the lounge in Dubai, and I was at the gate, and there was someone who couldn't get in. They wouldn't let him into the lounge.
They didn't let Hasbulla into the lounge?
We weren't letting him in, and his mates were getting a bit rowdy at the Dubai staff, the Emirates staff. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I recognise that guy. And I walked back in, I Googled it, and I was with Reece Vague and Sam Froling, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this Hasbulla guy's at the front. And no one believed me. And the boys were flying business, and I was back in cattle class with the rest of everyone else. And they got on the plane, sure enough, they were sitting next to Hasbulla. And we got off the plane in Melbourne together. He was right there. I didn't have the courage. I didn't want to annoy him. People were bothering him, and he was quite content just waiting for his luggage. And I missed an opportunity to meet
one of your life regrets, I assume.
100%, yeah.
Okay, let's get into your background as a basketball player. You said you weren't very good.
No.
So why basketball? Why are you in basketball now?
Not really sure. I was literally just having this conversation with some of the guys coming here, and it randomly just came up. I started playing when I was young. I was playing footy and basketball and cricket, as most kids did, and I just loved the group I was with and coaching and all the things behind playing. And I was just much better at it. I don't know. I wasn't that good. I played a little bit of NBL 1 and realized pretty quick I was contributing in other ways as opposed to scoring or being on the floor. And I got really lucky when I was 21 to get an internship at Perth, and it just kind of went from nothing. I did my physio degree, was getting ready to be a physiotherapist and maybe go and study medicine. I was doing some random things, and then 40 calls me, has an opportunity, and fast forward 8 years, and I'm sitting here with Tassie JackJumpers as an assistant coach. Yeah,
it's huge. So you were doing video work mostly when you first started. What was that entailing?
I would rock up, I would film practice, I would cut practice using sports code and give it to the coaches and kind of take off. I'd go do the afternoon in a clinic treating patients as a physio to earn some money. So I just thought it'd be a 4-month thing, be pretty. I was a massive Wildcats fan, and thought he's like, come in, it'd be great. And once it was done that year in 15-16, we won it. Did Mad Monday. I was like, this is the coolest 4 months of my life, and never expected anything after that.
Yeah. So then, how does that transition move from being the video kid to getting a chance to get more involved in the coaching aspect?
Yeah, I think at the end of that first year, when I was kind of weighing up, the CEO at the time, the GM was like, you got a decision to make here.
Troy? Was it
Nick Marvin. Yeah. So Nick was very, very keen on me to keep doing my physio work. He said, this industry is ruthless. You could be, Trev could get fired next week and you might not be coming back. And I think it's important you keep working. And at the same time, I was like, well, I've got an opportunity here to have a swing. I should really have a crack, and maybe I'll put the physio stuff on the back burner and dive in. So when I made that decision to do that, it gave me more opportunity to hang around, do stuff in the afternoon. The coaches started giving me tasks, and I was able to get them done, and they gave me more. The more I did, the more they gave me. And by the end of that second year, it was like, all right, we're ready to put you on the payroll and give you a full-time job, and that's where it took off.
That's pretty good. What were you, how were you living as in those early days? Because if you're just throwing yourself at it, right, I assume you couldn't really have much more work.
Yeah, I was really lucky. Like, I had a job down at Garden Island, the naval base. I had an unbelievable boss there. So some mornings I'd do like I hate being that guy who says, I worked multiple jobs and grinded, because I had it pretty good. But I'd do like 5 o'clock till 7:30 in the morning at the pool.
Yeah.
And then I'd race up to Floreat, get on the practice floor, hang around there till 2, and I might go back and do a 5 to 8 p.m. shift. Like, it was a bit of a piss take, but I was getting great money. The naval base just has all these contractors over there looking like lifeguards, but I'd just be watching NBA and sitting there watching people swim. It was, I shouldn't say that, but it's pretty crazy.
Your one job.
It was pretty crazy. So the physio clinic kept me on for a little bit. They reduced my hours, and I was able to do like another 10, 15 hours of work a week. And mum helped out, dad helped out. Like, I just had to bite the bullet for a bit and see how it went.
I remember looking at the Wildcats website once, I think before I started working there, and they had a job position available as like a video coordinator or something like that. And they used you as the example of like, you could become a coach. It's that easy. But like, I guess, I don't know if it happens that often. I mean, you hear like Eric Spoelstra in the NBA was the Miami Heat video guy, and but it doesn't seem like it'd be that common. Like, it's not a surefire thing.
Yeah, I think certainly my pathway, like not being an ex-player, I think that's a common one for guys to get into the industry. Certainly probably 5 or 6 years before I got in, when video was taking off and all this analysis software and stuff was really coming to fruition, guys started to jump in. Like Adam Ford, I've followed a very similar pathway to him. He came in with...
Who's currently coaching the
Cairns Taipans. So he was there. I think Ryan Petrick did it, who's the head coach of the Lynx now as well. I've done it. Luke Brennan, who's now the assistant at Perth, he's gone through that same process. So you're all kind of starting that similar role, and we've got a very similar role in Tassie now as well, with the young fella coming through. So it's a little bit more common, but it truly does depend on your ability to be able to get in and do as much as you can, because it is volunteer. It's tough, and if you've got a rent to pay and cost of living, it's pretty tough. Yeah.
What was the transition like from that to actually having coaching responsibility and then having to work with players? I guess like earning their trust and things like that.
Yeah, it's difficult. We had an unbelievable group in Perth, mate. Like Jesse, Damo, Matty Knight, like Sean Redditch, like
don't mention Greg.
Don't mention Greg. These guys, like, they really embrace me, like, initially, and if they know you know what you're talking about, and they can feel that, and you're accessible to them, and you're invested in them getting better, it usually goes from there. And players are pretty smart. Like, most pros in most sports will figure you out pretty quick, and as long as you're invested and you're willing to help them learn, and you can show them you can help them get better, it happens pretty fast and organically. So I was lucky. Like, I was supported by Matty Nielsen and Adam Ford and Trev. Obviously had an unbelievable staff that I kind of just got to work in the shadows a little bit. The bigger challenge was once Matty and Fordy left, and then I was kind of thrown into it, front bench assistant. I was 25 years old, and Trev, me, and we ended up having an American come in. That was probably more challenging, trying to figure out, like, now I'm the guy that they're actually going to come to when they're struggling a bit.
You sort of can't just fade into the back and hope
Matty and Fordy they're elite. They're the best I've ever seen do it, and the guys had so much faith in them, and they both left at the same time. I was like, holy dooly, like, I'm on here. So that was a tough time.
Do you remember your first time where you had to sort of put your coaching pants on and I don't know, not like tell off the team, but like, you know, when you had to go, okay, guys, it's time to listen?
Not really. I mean, Perth, the beautiful thing about Perth and what we've created in Tassie is we've created an environment where the players hold themselves accountable based off their values. And when you have that and you're consistent with your approach, it's very easy to evaluate and give feedback. I think coaches often struggle when everything's a bit rogue or there's no consistent approach to your daily habits and your daily environment. And that's when people can get a bit loose and like, oh, he's saying this, I'm saying this, and you get a bit of an edge. But you have moments all the time. You just got to be honest. I mean, the best teams and the best relationships with players and coaches are built on honesty. And I feel like I've been able to create that with most of the guys.
How was your relationship with the other coaches? What sort of, like, logistically through the week, are you guys spending a lot of time together? Are you in WhatsApp groups constantly messaging each other? I mean, that's sort of, if I think about like us and the team that work on this show, like I'm just constantly berating others, like in the WhatsApp groups and stuff. I
think it's one of the more underrated parts of highly successful high performance teams is your management and your staff's chemistry, because everyone talks about like how well your players get on. Like, that's obviously extremely important, but I've been so lucky, like in Perth. I mean, I've mentioned it multiple times, but Matt, like I lost my license for 6 months, losing my demerit points. I think you were in Perth at that time,
and you were getting driven around.
Matty Nielsen would pick me, like, this is Matt, like Boomer's captain, and like he was picking me up and taking me. I had a bike. I tried to ride to work. Didn't last long.
From Rocco to Florida?
No, I was in Como at the time. Yeah, there's no way I'd do that. But I was all Yeah, he was picking me up and bringing me in, and like it's pretty crazy when I think back. He didn't have to do that. He was living close by. He still didn't have to do it. And seems like a weird example, but we spent time together all the time. It was car rides home every day, talking hoops, talking tactics, and we were in there all the time. We enjoyed being at work, which is obviously the first hurdle. And I've got a similar setup in Tassie right now with Mark Radford and Jack Fleming and Mika Vicona when he's in. We've just got a great environment where we can all hold each other accountable and get the best outcomes.
Yeah, I did see you rock up today in some huge white van.
Yep.
Looks like the entire team.
Yeah. Well,
the
players dropped me off. They were like, I was like, I'm going to do this podcast in 4 o'clock. They're at City Beach doing some recovery, and I will drop you off. It's
huge.
It's all good.
That's great.
Yeah.
What was the difference like from coaching under Trev to then heading over to Tassie and working with Scott? Because I mean, and you did work with Scott here in Perth as well.
They're not too different. They definitely have different approaches to the way they see the game. Scott's very defensive, and Trev was too, but in different ways. The thing, I said this today as well when I was doing an interview, like the best coaches I've seen, 40, Matty, Trev, Brian Gorgon, Scott, they're all consistent. Like they don't waver from their identity. And that's going to be my biggest hurdle as a young coach, like making sure I get an identity and I stick to it, which I'm still working on and crafting out. But these guys, they know exactly who they are. They know what they expect, and they can drive that every day, and they don't waver from it. They don't change because, we lost 4 games in a row. I'm just going to start doing something rogue, because then the players feel that and it just gets a bit crazy. And certainly with Scott and Trev, they're just consistent. You get the same beast every day. There's no surprises, and the players learn to get used to that, and you get good results. Who's
got the better rapport with referees? Because Trev used to cop it. He would go after him as well.
It's fascinating, referees in basketball with how intimate, AFL, you can't give them a spray from a coach's box. But
they just can't hear it.
They can't. You can. Basketball is so intimate, and particularly the NBL. There's times where I felt like in Perth, Trev was like conducting the orchestra. Like he had the fans in one hand and had the referees and had the group, and he was just blending all three together. And come the fourth quarter, you're like, there's no way we're losing this game. Like it was done. But there's an art to it. And I think Scott's very different. He's much more NBA in his approach, kind of lets them go. But I think that gives him more power when he does have something to say. I think they probably listen to him a little more just because it's not all the time. But I'm not sure about rapport.
Greg was talking about Trev and the referees last week and said it was like he had a dog whistle. Like regardless of like how loud it was, as soon as Trev would start talking, you just hear him like going at the referees.
Trev could get their attention pretty quick.
You could hear it from the side. So then what about the move from Perth to Tasmania? So you're Rocco boy. It's not, I can't see too many similarities with Tassie maybe Tassie and Rocco.
I spent a lot of my time in Freo. I'm south of the river. Like coming up here today, I was like, "Where am I?" I didn't even know where I was. Got maps on Mount Hawthorn. Like when you said that, I was like, I don't know. And I know it's a big debate, the South and North River rivalry. But certainly Freo, like I love Freo. I love being in Freo. I love living there the last few years before I moved over to Tassie. And Hobart's got a similar feel. It's very small. Freo's probably bigger, to be honest. Like Hobart's a very small capital city, and the weather's been an adjustment. That's certainly been a bit of a shock, but I've just enjoyed getting out of my comfort zone. It was really important, particularly in my profession. Like at some point I'm going to have to move. I knew that, and I was very comfortable here in Perth. I had my routine. North Street store, get a cinnamon bun on the way home, get a coffee. Like I just drive down the coast. It was all too good, and I needed to challenge myself and get out of my comfort zone.
So then what about your role, how that's changed from the last coaching gig you had in Perth to then, because you're the lead assistant, right, in Tassie. So, if Scott gets tossed from the game, you got the clipboard. So
still waiting. I'm pushing him. I'm just going, Scotty.
If he gets one, you like, go on, give him another.
He hasn't. I don't think he's had one.
Yeah, he seems too cool and calm.
Yeah. I don't think I reckon I've had more warnings than Scott, which is a bit scary. But
would you cop it if you were the reason for a tech on the side? Would you get a bit of a side eye?
I don't know. Scotty's an interesting. Sometimes he gets after me. He's like, I need you to get up and about tonight.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we work well together in terms of he's quite calm. I'm a bit on the edge. Whereas Trev was all over him, so I could just sit back and enjoy it. But there's certainly times where you have to go. But I don't think I'd cop it. I don't know. Be interesting. One way to find out.
So what about day to day? How much more are you having to do over in Tassie with your current coaching role?
Hasn't changed too much. The last couple of years in Perth, we had such big trend. Like we had Paul Woolpert come in, he left. Scotty came in, he left halfway through the next year. We had Bob Thornton come in, and through all that transition, I kind of took on that kind of lead assistant role without technically being it anyway. and looked after a lot of the day-to-day front office-y, like helping the players, which what Matty Nilsson did before he left. But I think those American guys came in, they just didn't have enough time to understand that, get into it and go see the media department and spend some time with the corporate team. And I tried to really embrace that side of it, and that probably prepared me for getting to Tassie, where a lot of that, we're a brand new club. A lot of it was installing policies and procedures and how we were going to approach the day-to-day. So it hasn't changed too much. I think my on-court role, big, heavy player development focus and creating a good environment for the guys to get better. And tactically, we share a lot of the responsibilities as we did in Perth.
Yeah. So first season, inaugural team. Well, is that what that would be called? Yeah, inaugural Jack Jumpers team. You're a part of that. That's pretty special to be able to work on that from the ground up.
Mate, it was a massive challenge. We got an unbelievable staff in front office and a lot of support. Hobart's a bit weird. Like initially they were out to get us, I think. When I got there, I got the feel like, I think they're kind of waiting for us to fail. And when we started 2-6, it was like, they're coming for us a little bit. Like it's a waste of government money, and it was kind of starting to happen. And then
what even is a Jack Jumper?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I didn't know what that was when I got there, but it's an ant. It's a very powerful ant. But it was a fascinating experience. It was something I'll be grateful for having gone through. But had its challenges, but the reward at the end of it, even if we didn't do what we had done, seeing the effect it had on the community and what Hobart should have an AFL team. After being there now for 12 months, I was like, how does this place not have a sporting team to support? I mean, they got the Hurricanes, but they haven't done a great job down there. But it's fascinating just how quickly they've got on board corporately, communities, kids running around in jerseys everywhere. And it's really got that small town feel. Like you're at Woolies, and there's Jack Jumpers people everywhere. It's crazy, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. When you first, day one at the Jack Jumpers, did you have any idea that you'd be in the finals? Because, I mean, look, players and coaches, they'll be like, we always believed in our ability to win. At the same, come on, inaugural, first ever team put together to go to the finals is crazy. I don't think anyone expected it.
No, I think it was funny. I think I did a press conference when I first got there, when I got signed, or I announced that I'd come to town, and everyone did one when they rocked up. And I said, well, we're here to win a championship. Like the NBL is not like the AFL. We have you got a 3-year cycle. Like you have turnover every year. There's lots of variances in the budgets and things like that. It's just not, you can't have a 3-year plan. You got to be win now mode every year. And that's why you see different teams competing every year, because that's just how it works. And I said it in the journal. I was like, you really think you can win it? I was like, well, I know me, Clint Steindl, Will Magnay, all these guys that left Perth where we always won aren't coming here to not win. Like we didn't come here to just make up numbers and build. And that was the same for all the other guys. Sam McDaniel just won a championship with Melbourne and signed for 3 years down in Tassie. Like we all came there to win, and we had that mindset, and I think that paid off. We had really high character, we thought, winning guys, and they came in and did that straight away.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to, I guess, work with people that you'd worked with in the past as well.
Definitely.
I think there was, how many Wildcats players went over those?
We had three.
And
then
plus,
obviously 2 staff.
So it had a bit of consistency, which, I mean, that doesn't usually happen, and that's pretty crucial. I think that's partly why the Wildcats have been so successful for a long time. Is
100%.
Just their consistency, having the same sort of people. Was it, do those sort of games against the Wildcats mean more to you?
Everyone always asks me that. Not really. It is weird. It's weird going against Bryce and Noto and Wags, guys who I've become mates with and coached. But I think if Trev had been there, it might have been a bit strange. But once he'd left and did the Toronto move, and they had a new coach and new ownership, it just didn't feel the same. Like even going in there last year to RSC, it didn't feel quite the same as what it was, and that's fine. And it probably took the edge off it a bit.
Yeah. And you can, I reckon you'll give a nice answer to this, but I do want your honesty. Was it nice seeing the Wildcats miss the finals? You leave and they miss the finals for the first time in 34 years, and you're a part of a team that goes all the way to the end of the finals.
I'll be completely honest, it was actually pretty hard to watch. It was hard to see Nordo and Wags, who I thought it was Wags' last game, and we're watching it together at the casino in Hobart, and I thought, obviously I knew what was at stake. If they lost, we were in, and it was pretty crazy. But
that's right, because that was the balance.
So, we were sitting there, and I was like, "There's no way they're losing this game." I was watching it. I was drinking a few gin and tonics. I had a couple under my belt. I was like, I thought we're done. I thought we're Mad Monday in 2 days' time. And then it just kept going. Then when it sort of the final siren went and they missed that shot, I was just sitting there I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to text them. I didn't, it was pretty tough. And
no sucked in boys or anything.
No, nothing like that. And that pressure was real in Perth. Like, you never wanted to be that team. And it was difficult. But at the same time, it was great for our group. I felt like we earned to be in the playoffs, and that showed when we won that semi-final series.
You won a close game late in the season against the Wildcats, and so it all contributes all those wins.
Definitely.
So you're about to go to Kazakhstan, which is something that not everyone gets the opportunity to do. Can you talk about your sort of role with the Boomers and what that looks like?
Technically, I'm employed there as like a head of video and analysis. So I guess I've kind of gone back to full circle to what I did in Perth. But it's gone a little bit further than that, I guess, in the last couple of months, just with like Gorge hasn't been there and been bumped up into this assistant role for the last couple of trips to Bahrain, and now this one coming up. The Asia Cup was similar. So that'll be my role through the World Cup and the Olympics once all the big dogs come back and filter through. But it's been unreal. Like, I was obviously never able to comprehend what it meant to represent your country, and still probably haven't fully. But the first time you put on something with Australia on it, it's the same time you wear WA. It's just like, this is the coolest thing ever, and been really lucky. Got a lot of people to thank.
Kazakhstan.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. How many? I mean, all I can think of is Borat.
Yeah. Well, I did Russia a few years ago for a trip. Yeah, the World Cup in 2018, I think. And I thought it was unique, and I enjoy traveling to unique parts of the world, so I'm excited to check out what the Kazakhstan has for me. Yeah,
very nice. All right, we got some emails that usually Greg, myself, and Ben would answer, but you're here.
Wow, let's go.
We got one, and then an Instagram comment, which works in beautifully. They didn't know you were going to be on this, but let's go to this first email from Stefan or Stephen. Hey fellas, what are your thoughts on fans following players and not teams? I've been a Laker fan for 20 plus years and find myself getting annoyed at people, for example, who follow LeBron team to team. I understand maybe swapping teams if you work close with them and their superstar made you wet while they wore nothing but a towel. Keep up the good work, gents. I'll give you context to that. When I was in Dallas, I was writing for this SB Nation website, Mavs Moneyball.
Okay.
So I was there as a media member, and Dirk
I remember that. It was before Perth, right?
Yeah, before Perth. Dirk used to do this thing, the goat father who lives up above with
Great
us
player.
here. He used to do this thing where he'd come out of the shower like wrapped in a towel, but he wouldn't dry himself, so he'd just be really wet. And so you do your locker room interviews, and he'd just be dripping water on you. So that's the context to
you obviously embrace that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally,
That's pretty cool.
Yep. So that's... I know you looked a bit confused there with that.
No, I had no idea what was going on. I thought it was a G up. I was like, what's that?
No, that was from last week. So your thoughts on following, what NBA team do you follow?
Or are you so this is going to be crazy. No. Well, I was actually a big Cavs fan. Right. So
pre-LeBron?
Pre-LeBron, yeah. So the year before they had got LeBron, I watched a game. I watched my first ever NBA game and was like, I'm going to support the losers. When I was getting into hoops, and the Cavs had like Ricky Davis, and they sucked. They were terrible. Got LeBron, was a mad LeBron Cavs fan, obviously. When he left for Miami, worst day of my life.
Burning jersey? Did you burn a jersey?
I didn't burn a jersey, but I was close. I remember, I was close. Yeah, I wasn't happy and just had so much Cavs gear, and like I was all in. I was all in, and that was disappointing. When he came back, like maybe best day of my life. Yeah, that's another story for another time. But had a great time, enjoyed myself that night. It was really good. And I actually ended up going over. I always told myself I wanted to be there when he won it for Cleveland. So I ended up going over for game 4, 6, and 7.
Wow.
Yeah, did a couple of mates, and we did San Fran for game 7. We got over on the day. So it was unbelievable to be in Cleveland. It was just, and pretty much from that moment, I've kind of just been content with the NBA. I'm like, I don't need to follow it anymore. I've seen the pinnacle.
Right.
I certainly don't like people following players, but I understand it in this day and age with how much movement there is.
Yeah. I think more, and for people in Australia as well, if you're not from a place, like, why are you loyal to a place, I guess?
Definitely. It's going to get interesting here. Like, I feel like Aussie rules, Australian sport is going that way as the money goes up, and it's just going to get there. But it'll be fascinating to see. I think football's different because you've got so many players, but basketball, they can have such an impact. You can get one player. Like, my Cavs just got Donovan Mitchell, and it's changed their whole outcome. Like, now they're a contender, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But it would be fascinating.
How many times have you watched the blocked by James?
A lot of times. There was some crazy plays. That game 7 was unbelievable.
It was huge.
Unbelievable.
So how then do you feel about Kyrie Irving at the moment?
Well, it's a shame. He's so talented. And I've heard some unbelievable stories from coaches that have been around him that in isolation say he's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around, and his love for the game is unparalleled. And you can see that, like, his craft is insane. He might be one of the better finishers, better ball handlers, better scorers of all time. And it's disappointing to see what's happening. And I guess that's,
the off-court stuff is it's a shame to make that distract from what he is as just a basketball
100%.
player.
In isolation, he's top 75 player.
Yeah,
he's unreal.
Huge. All right, this is a comment from Instagram from James_Canola with a K.
Good name.
Loving the chemistry you three have built within 3 episodes, and we'll add you.
Is
to
this
that.
us three?
Yeah. You, me, and Scott.
Obviously not Greg.
And obviously not Greg. As someone who only started paying attention to basketball and the NBL because of the JackJumpers, this is the right level of discussion I need about this league. There you go. Can I request Clint Steindl as a guest? Don't know much about his career pre-Jackies, but would love to hear about his transition from a dominant West Coast Wildcat side to an unknown expansion team.
Like it.
Now, you've coached him at the Wildcats, and now he's the captain of the JackJumpers. So you could probably answer a little bit of this.
Yeah, Clint and me, he's one guy that I've become really fond of. Our relationship is unbelievable. I think him coming to Tassie and me, we both had an effect on each other's decision, I hope anyway. And certainly knowing he was thinking about going there was very comforting. We built a really good relationship early when he first came to the Cats, and he was kind of in and out of Greece, and Kayla was here playing for Perth, and we got on the court. We kind of worked out a lot together because he didn't travel, and that's where it started. And his evolution as a player into a leader has been remarkable. I think I've said this to guys in Perth that have been around him before, that if they saw him now, they'd be kind of shocked, because in Perth he didn't need to lead. We had such great leaders.
Yeah, he was just that. He was quiet.
And I think he was open to a change. And I remember meeting with him and telling him I was leaving, and he was like, I'm actually thinking about it too. And it was kind of a cool moment. We had a glass of red together, and it was exciting. And when he came over, I don't think he anticipated being the inaugural captain and for 2 years and going to a final series. But what he's done for our club has been nothing but remarkable. He gives us a level of class that I think is really important when you're coming in and trying to earn your stripes as an organisation. And his work ethic and standards has set this organisation up to be successful for a long time. And he'd be a fascinating guest.
Huge. I actually have a Kayla Steindl jersey at home.
Yeah, she's definitely the better Steindl.
Yeah, she's incredible. I was shooting hoops one time at I think Warwick Leisure Centre, and I was wearing it, and someone came up to me. They said, "How the hell do you have a Kayla Steindl jersey?" And because when I was working there was like this dud set of jerseys that had the wrong sponsor on it, and so I just grabbed Kayla's. And now and I've told her a few times that I have rock your jersey, and it's she's also a legend basketball player.
Hopefully, I don't know if she's thinking of playing again, but she should. I hope she does. Yeah, they just had baby number 2,
right?
So she's a hell of a player.
Pick and pop.
Yeah, WNBA draft pick.
Yep. Yeah, huge. All right, well, that's all we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Anytime.
You've got Perth Wildcats. When is this going to come out? This will come out on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yep. So this will come out tonight. So you've got Wildcats tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Big game.
RAC.
Yep.
Last time you guys played, Scott Roth and John really had a little chat at the end of the game, which I went at Shane Heal about on the on Twitter, because he reckons there was a bit of a kerfuffle, but big, referred to me as big time.
Oh really?
Yeah, because he champed me, what was it about then, big time?
Can't say champ.
Yeah. So, but yes, that was good that we got some info from you. They're just chatting about the umpires. Yeah. So, both John Riley and Scott Roth are just nice guys. I can't imagine them going at each other.
Yeah, it was a fascinating. I don't know what was it was interesting, but there was certainly no malice in it. No. There was a bit of banter. There was a bit of banter pre-game, and both are late.
I mean, guys trash talk each other on the court all the time.
Yeah.
Why can't the coaches throw a little bit at
100%
one another? If you do want to get in contact with us, hello@backchatpodcast.com.au or on Instagram, backchat_basketball. And we'll catch you next week. Who knows if Greg will be here, or if you'll forget, or if he's got something else on. But if you're around next week,
I can come
fly back in.
Yeah, I can get that done.
You could just replace Greg every week.
That sounds unreal.
Thanks, man.
No worries.